exciting to chew. Bacon fest, we're expecting you. And love, Iowa bacon love.
Oh, yes.
Mom, Dad's being weird again.
Luscious.
Honey,
So full.
it's just grass.
Oh, it's so much more than just grass. It's a healthier, greener, and more luscious lawn. Yours can be too.
Look at you.
With Kabursky Brothers Lawn Care.
Remember, no shoes on the lawn. Because you're so beautiful.
Call or click today.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru, live and on demand across Iowa everywhere from the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy, connected by cellular advantage.
Welcome to a Murph and Andy Monday. Glad to have you with us. Andy Fales, Keith Murphy, Andrew Downs. And Andy, I got to get this out of the way right away because I'm hoping it will make sure that it never happens again. I had a strange dream last night, and you were in it. And we were eating lunch at Either Or, and you had called me, and we're sitting down, and you break the news to me that you and your entire family are moving to Lawrence, Kansas.
That is random.
I know. So I need some help figuring out what's going on here. Why you did move. I did have a similar conversation with you once, and you were going to Kansas City. But why Lawrence, Kansas? And then we had a discussion about whether the show would continue. And you said, well, yeah, Hassel's in Florida. I'll be closer. I'm in Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Lawrence, Kansas?
Lawrence,
you couldn't
Kansas.
have me moving. I mean, that's a nice college town, but
I guess. And I was like,
have me moving to a lake house or something?
I said, how does Kahala feel about this? You said it was her idea. I said to go to Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah, man,
At
dreams are
this
so
age?
random. So random.
So then I fall back asleep, and keep in mind, no medication last night, not drinking, anything like that. So there's really not a reason for me to be having odd dreams. So I go back to sleep, and I end up, and I'm on the Sports Center desk on ESPN, and the other anchors, there's two anchors, but I'm shirtless, and the other two aren't. And
Pantsless.
instead of doing highlights, we're singing George on My Mind on Sports Center.
This is no medication.
No medication, no drinking, no THC, no
That's
morel
very
mushrooms.
strange.
I know. AD, what do you
Morel
make
mushrooms.
of this? What do you think I need to do to make sure this never happens again?
I don't know, but you have some insecurity about Andy that I think we need to
We need to
figure
explore
out
that,
here.
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I apparently am worried about Andy moving to Lawrence and becoming a Jayhawk. And what happens to the kids? What happens to the kids if he moves them to Lawrence? And why would you mention that?
They'd have to come too.
But shouldn't we be more worried about the singing George on My Mind shirtless on the Sports Center
Ray
desk?
Charles song?
Yeah, unpack that.
That's
I mean, the
right.
Masters.
That kind of makes sense to me. You do some weird stuff on Sound Off, so you already
Yeah.
do weird things on TV. Like
I
that,
do love the
I
song.
I can draw that line pretty easily.
The Masters was just over a week ago, and that song plays during the Masters constantly. But that seems like I don't even think Hassel sang George on My Mind. Well, he was anchoring Sports Center.
Did you eat something before going to sleep? Marty asks.
No.
Sometimes weird foods can give you weird dreams.
No,
you
I
never
did.
eat before you go to sleep.
I hosted Sound Off last night. I stayed to post the videos, and I'd made a grammatical mistake on one of the full screens. So I had to correct that, which is a whole laborious process. So I didn't get home until after midnight, and I didn't eat anything in that time, and I went to sleep because Lozier was coming over pretty early this morning. So I don't know. It's weird, and I'm now worried about myself. Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for sports and more. Coming up, Hawkeye Big, CFP Stupidity, and no goal anytime soon. A Guest House Tavern, Northwest-inspired Midwestern hospitality. Right now, high or low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
All right, Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax has a little bit of breathing room now that the tax deadline, at least the federal deadline, is behind them. It's a good time to give them a call and start planning your retirement future. If you've got a number of different accounts that are all kind of floating around there and you want to consolidate them, if you've got a tax situation that's changed up this year, they're the ones to call about all of that stuff. I'm going to go high and low.
Oh,
today. Yeah, I'm going to start high. Friday night, went to a birthday party for my friend Dylan. Andrew and Scott, they both know him as well. We went down to Ricochet, downtown.
Fun place.
Yeah, it is a fun place, and it's a good concept. It's a great place for a birthday party, an adult birthday party. I don't know if kids can go in there or not. They probably can't. But it's got a great big bar and a bunch of, games, skee ball and darts and pool and ping pong and shuffleboard and a whole bunch of other different stuff. It's just really fun to go with a big group. And we did that. And I got to see our old friend, Brad Argo, who is the owner of Ricochet. And I love Argo.
Such a good guy. Yeah, I do too.
Great photographer at Channel 13 back in the day. Always loved going on shoots with him. He and I went out of town a number of times together. We went to the Big Ten tournament, covered that for a whole week one year. And he just a really good shooter and a really good guy, fun guy that always just kind of marched to the beat of his own drum. He, for a while, he was living in a free house.
Yep.
Over by Mercy Hospital. And we were laughing about that. It was like, why were you living in that house again? Because it was like, should have been condemned. It was like a house of ill repute over by Mercy Hospital, but they actually picked it up, and I think they moved that to Sherman Hill. But for the time being, it was just there, and they just needed somebody to live in it to keep the bums out. So he lived there for like a while and would have big parties. It was really fun. So he is now a successful business owner, and that's always kind of cool to see. Mm-hmm. When a friend of yours is doing really well. So it was great to catch up with Argo.
Yeah.
But then
go ahead. Yeah, no, I just want one thing on Brad Argo. I two things really. One is I went to cover the NCAA tournament with him in New York City, and we stayed in a place across from Madison Square Garden. And to this day, I cannot believe how tiny the room was the two of us stayed in. Like, we went in and it had two twin beds and there was like a foot between them, and that was it. That was the room, and it was a few $100s a night, but he was just a great guy to travel with. So I remember that. And then the other thing is, and the show's we can't go long today, so I just won't get into it, but he has the most epic constipation story in the history of traveling stories. It involves Nicaragua and being backed up for a couple of weeks. And then the fallout from that is a man building a log cabin.
Gosh, I almost just want to derail the whole show and dive into that story. Not everybody would appreciate it.
No, not everybody.
All right. But then my low. So Sipker is there.
Sipker.
Yeah. And he buys a round of shots for the birthday boy, Dylan, and me, and Andrew. I don't think you had to get in on this.
No,
right?
thank God I didn't.
Yeah, thank God. There are a few others. And we take the shot, and I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure what this is. And I didn't really look that closely. I just drank it. I was like, oh, God. It was Malort.
Oh.
You ever had Malort, Murph?
I have, but it was just to see why so many people talk about it. And I know it's like this huge drink in Chicago, but it it tastes like I picture antifreeze tasting or something. I mean, I don't understand why people willingly drink this.
I don't either. It is a Chicago thing.
And it
and
purposely tastes terrible.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the people from Chicago will insist that they like it. And I don't believe them
No.
because it's unlikable. It's a Swedish drink, I believe. The best description that I've ever heard somebody give for the flavor, and I've had it a bunch of times. I actually have a bottle down in the freezer. But somebody said it tasted like a Band-Aid. And it does. I don't know when it was that I licked the Band-Aid. I was a kid, obviously, but it's this bitter,
I know what
kinda
you mean, though.
plasticky taste. It's disgusting. It's
It is.
terrible. And it like ruins your night. It's 80 proof. It's not, any stronger than vodka or most whiskeys and stuff, but it's just, I think it gets in there into your stomach with all the other drinks, and it's just like a really bad guest at the party.
Yeah.
Just shits all over everything else and just
It
ruins
lingers.
it. It lingers, and I felt terrible on Saturday, and Dylan felt terrible on Saturday. I think everybody that partook in the Malort, and then I broke some out later on and gave some to two other friends who had not had some yet. But
You got to do that. You got to pass it on.
oh God, Malort. Yeah. If anybody offers you a shot of Malort, I don't care how cold it is. I don't
Don't do
care
it.
how interesting it sounds. Just don't do it.
And people from Chicago, do you think they really do love Malort, or do you think it's become this point of pride where you have to say you love Malort?
It's like a point of pride. It's like there are other ethnic foods that there is a Norwegian dish called lutefisk, which nobody likes. I have lots of Norwegian relatives, and they don't like it. No one likes it. But it's so gross and disgusting. It's almost like the Norwegians need to talk about it and then, sample it if it comes around ever. They feel like they just kind of have to. It's like part of their heritage. And so I think it's a little bit like that. I mean, there are probably, like, if you're Scottish and you feel like you have to eat haggis every now and then, I think, which is made out of a sheep's stomach that's filled with a bunch of other garbage. There are certain ethnic foods that, if that's your family, for some reason, it's like part of your heritage. And so you have to kind of have it around and have it every now and then. But in your heart, maybe not even in your heart, just in your mouth, it tastes disgusting.
My friend Jeff Finney told us that the hot drink one time, he worked in the adult beverage industry, has for a long time. He's like, everybody's into this Fernet Branca.
Yeah. See, I kind of like Fernet.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
So we had to try it, and Jenny coined it as floor of the forest. I was like, that is what it tastes like to me. Like you licked the floor of the forest. It's like pine needles.
It tastes like really bad cough syrup to me. And
But you like it.
Yeah, I do. I kind of like to have a shot of Fernet. It's a real bartender drink, and that's not. I'm not posing to like it that way, but I would have it with bartenders here and there, and I honestly do kind of like it. I've always kind of liked cough syrup, which is there's no good excuse. I can't explain myself,
wish I
but
didn't
I
drink all
mean,
this
but
cough syrup.
Fernet, I do kind of like that, but most people don't like it a lot, and they would put it in the same category as Malort.
I'm going high over the Easter family weekend because we mostly stayed home, and I think all we did was stay home, but we had family activities all weekend, and that included an adult Easter egg hunt with our kids and
Now
our
that must have been
extended-
on Saturday.
That was Saturday. Extended blended family here, and one kid amongst the people here. The dogs are out there, and Jenny just did a great job. We hid the eggs, and you got a prize with each egg, and it was fun. And it was a reminder to me, and our kids are like this. All of them really are like this. They love family rituals, and I owe a big hug to Jenny for establishing this when they were kids, and these different holiday rituals that we do, they don't outgrow it. They still want to do it when they get older. And that's awesome. Like I'm sure it's part nostalgia and part just you're doing something fun together, but we had a blast with the Easter egg hunt. And then we had the chalk drawings, and that also had a prize. And I have the top 3 here for you, Andy. We're taking a look for those of you on YouTube, and please like and subscribe on YouTube. It's helping Iowa Everywhere quite a bit, the more people that sign up. So thank you for doing that. It's easy. It's free. So we're drawing on the chalk. We get the chalk out, and there's some artists there, and I'm not one of them because I am terrible at art. But we have the top 3. I put it on my Facebook page and let people vote so that no one in the family was left with this incredibly hard decision. And Cade's girlfriend, Audrey, wins first place for the ballet shoes.
Wow.
Good. It's a good chalk drawing.
That is a great drawing.
Yeah. By the way, I was making chalk tails.
Nice.
Featured drink, Andy.
Nice.
Chalk tails.
Yes, very nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
move on to
don't use actual chalk.
Yeah, move on to second place here, and this silver medal. This is AJ, and that is ends up being the Masters logo on a golf ball, and he's eventually going to draw the T there.
He's a lefty.
Not to be confused with game day tea, which is a whole different thing. And then third place, the bronze medal, to Chandler, who drew a baseball theme.
You knew somebody was going low.
It's a bat and 2 baseballs.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
You often use 2 baseballs at once. And
put them down near the handle.
Then he eventually draws on there, root for the home team, and he does some shading in there, and that got the 3rd most votes. But interestingly,
shading, not veining.
Even though it didn't win, Andy, this drawing got the most comments on Facebook.
Well, that's a shock.
So
it's really over the ballet shoes.
Over the ballet shoes. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but there you go. And happy Easter in the sidewalk space right above it there. So what fun that was. All right. Interact with us and each other on YouTube. You can email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it's Murph_Andy. And it is all powered by the Cellular Advantage, proudly presenting U.S. Cellular since 1993 with 35 regional locations. Let's get the buzz on a Monday.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Logier Heating and Cooling came by this morning. Brennan, handsome guy, and he was here a long time, checked everything out, and I got a compliment for changing the filter more frequently. He was able to notice that because I've had a weakness there, but I've gotten better at it because that
you didn't know how to do it. Yeah.
Cause problems in a 100-year-old house. Everything's going well. We're all set up. We're good.
Brennan came to my house too, and the dogs mugged him at the door.
Oh.
I felt so bad. Lewis is jumping all over.
Sorry,
him.
Brennan.
Yeah, Brennan had a day before noon today.
Yes, he did.
But it was really nice. Yeah, he kind of told me exactly when the furnace and the air conditioner unit when they were put in, and are they aging the way that they're supposed to be aging, that kind of stuff. Just kind of gave me a good mental idea of the condition of my system here.
Yeah, he stopped by my house also. He didn't compliment me on my filter, probably because I switched it this morning so that I didn't get
like,
crap
man, this
for having an old. So he was
works
like,
really well.
He just did this. I'm not, but he did take my hose and go out and wash down my air conditioning unit outside to make sure that we're all good for the heat.
He also brought an Easter egg in and asked what his prize was. So at least one was missed at the
we got a few strays still floating around. I was cleaning up after Lewis today, and it looked like he got into some Easter eggs.
Well, that's our Lewis for you. By the way, I was talking to Brennan. So Logier is about to come up on 120 years of heating and cooling here in the Des Moines area. And I asked him, I was like, well, what did that look like 119 years ago? And he said, well, it was just heating back then.
Yeah, it was coal.
Coal and gas. Like that's all it was to begin with. And it's late 1950s before air conditioning is introduced in a central air kind of way. And then at that time, you knew, it's like when big screen TVs first came out and they were like $7,000 or something. And if you knew somebody who had one, they were well off, because the average person couldn't afford a big screen TV or the 10 people it took to move it in. And now you can like walk out of Best Buy with a $200 TV that's 80 inches and hold it up with one arm. It's just changed so much. But AC used to be a real privilege. But thank you to Brennan and Logier for coming by. They were awesome. It is NFL draft week this week, one of Andy's favorite weeks of the year. It's in Green Bay, which is really cool.
I love the fact that they've done this, that they're moving it around. I think Green Bay is the perfect place for it. It's tough at this time of the year. Weather there is not always great at this time of the year. I don't know what the forecast is supposed to be for Green Bay at the end of this week, but imagine it'll be cool.
I hope it snows.
The people that are from that area will be fine, but it's just I guess it's the most, off the top of my head, I think it's the most storied stadium in the NFL, and it's it's a whole development around there now. It's not just the stadium anymore. There's a whole Title Town development all around. So there's a lot to do. I don't think there's not another sports team city situation like Green Bay and the Packers. I mean, like the Packers are so much bigger than the city. I mean, like just everything around the city is somehow tied to the Packers in Lambeau Field, it seems. But
and it won't happen again, because the way media is set up now, it won't happen again.
You'll never have that happen. No, never. And which is too bad, because then, you're just robbing yourself of an opportunity to have something truly unique and special like this. But it was a long time in the making, setting it all up. But I love the NFL draft. This is not as interesting to me this year as most years are. I think that's because of the lower number of skill players that we've been talking about in college. I was trying to, I haven't quite figured out why it is. It just, we don't have quarterbacks that we've really been watching closely for a couple of years. The Titans are a forgettable team to me.
They're going Cam Ward. They've pretty much all but said that.
But like Cam Ward, I mean, we saw him. He's good, no doubt. I mean, we
saw him for a half.
Cyclones, saw him for a half. But I don't know. I mean, he's not a Trevor Lawrence type where everybody's talking about him, or even Caleb Williams, for that matter, where you just you can't wait to see him as a pro. You're just kind of like, oh, okay, I understand why he'd be the first pick this year.
There's more talk about Shedeur Sanders just because there's so much discussion about, and whether he's top 10 or he's dropped below 10. But it seems Locke here, Ward, and then Travis Hunter seems like he's going second, then Abdul Carter third. But the one thing that we've never done, and I never will do, is like to spend a day talking about our projection of the draft order, because it never works. Like one team goes out of place or picks somebody that's not expected, and then nothing else matches. I mean, you got these guys whose entire lives are projecting draft picks, and some years they'll get like 30 out of 32 wrong. It's just, that's just, I know we all care about the NFL, but it's just, I don't look at any projected draft orders, but maybe that's also because I don't have a team I live and die with. I think if you do, maybe you watch this kind of stuff more and you try to figure it out.
I think what makes it interesting though is not whether they're right or wrong about what teams they think they're going to take. What makes it interesting is their analysis of the individual players. So if your team or somebody in front of your team goes, makes an unexpected pick, and then suddenly the deck gets reshuffled, then you can look at that pool of available players and speculate, which we love to do as fans. You're like, oh boy, well, maybe this player then would look good with my team. And you know, you when you do a little bit of studying into the players, because we don't know, none of us know all of the college players, and you do a little bit of studying though, and familiarize yourself with, you know, a number of the players that might help your team, then it's actually, I think, a really interesting piece of television to sit and watch. And then if you've got a number of teams that you're sort of interested in following, which I've always had, then it's just, it's even more interesting. And then if you've got college teams that you're interested in, then they're, you know, if they've got some players who figure in. I mean, Cooper DeJean just being in the draft last year, he made the whole draft more interesting, and he kept sliding down, and there's just one team after another that I was like, oh my God, they need to pick Cooper DeJean.
And probably
Why
wish
didn't
they
do
had
that?
now.
Yeah, a whole bunch of teams, and the Eagles ended up getting him, and they look very lucky for him falling that far, and very smart for not letting him fall any farther.
There will be plenty of Hawkeyes and Cyclones this year. It's just, it's not going to be Thursday night. And the expert of experts, I guess, at least the guy you associate most with the draft, Mel Kiper. I mean, he's had some real hits over the years, and he's had some real misses too. I mean, he famously or infamously said, if Jimmy Clausen isn't an NFL star, I'll retire. Well, he wasn't a star. That was a huge miss. Remember the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf debate? I mean, that went back and forth. That drove the discussion of an entire draft period.
Yeah, because I mean, the draft has that wild card, right? That combine, right?
Yeah.
Where, you know, or there's a player that, you know, played at a smaller school, you know, a more overlooked school. People hadn't been watching him as much. He's got all the measurables. He goes to the combine, hits it out of the park. All of a sudden you're like, oh man, this guy could be the steal of the draft. And then your team picks him in the first round and he sucks. And you're just like, oh God, why did we overthink this? We should have taken the guy at the bigger school that proved it all year. And you were just, you know, just because you were kind of bored with him by the time the draft rolled around didn't make him a worse draft pick. It's just your own perception, which is just kind of, that's another fun thing about the draft. I mean, there's so many invariables altogether.
You can overthink it, that's for sure. I remember Joe Burrow having a big game as a rookie and then saying, I don't even know how I was able to hold the football with my tiny hands.
Yeah,
you know, so those guys, they listen, they read it, they know what's being said out there. Let's get a quickie poll presented by WCI Pools and Spas in Ames and Urbandale.
Of these choices, what are you looking forward to most this week? The Drake Relays, the NFL Draft, the NBA and NHL playoffs, or the Major League Baseball or Minor League Baseball season?
Well, with nearly 300 votes in, just the power of King NFL, it's just incredible. I mean, NBA, NHL playoffs has less than a fourth of the vote of the NFL draft, and those two are combined into one choice. That's eye-opening. Drake Relays outperforming the playoffs in hockey and basketball at this point. But it is the NFL draft for me of these four.
Yeah, it is. It is for me too. I mean, I like going to Peggy's for the Drake Relays.
Well, Peggy's is not a choice, Andy.
Well, it kind of is part.
You're going to fold
It's
Peggy's into the Drake Relays?
Yeah,
it's
absolute.
not a drinking competition.
Absolute. Well, I mean, yeah, if it's just the track meet, then it's not close here.
I'm going NBA playoffs. I've enjoyed watching them this weekend. I'm a Lakers fan, so I have a team in it. So yeah, that's the biggest one for me. Plus, I got my draft stuff the last couple of years when the Bears were really high up. I'll pay attention to the draft. I'll certainly watch Thursday night, but it's NBA playoffs for me.
Well, and your Lakers have a bounce back need after getting run in LA by the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
Did not see that coming.
I didn't either.
So that makes that series more intriguing.
Absolutely.
And there have been, like, did you see Steph Curry when he got hot last night and a couple of the shots he made? Is just a reminder he shoots the basketball better than anyone ever has.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan at one point. How is that geometrically possible?
And also, we had a 51-point blowout by the
oh my
Thunder.
God! Yeah,
51 points in a
Grizzlies,
playoff
yeah.
game. How does that
Incredible.
happen? Yeah, that's
Whole place
that's
is
nuts.
wearing white. Yeah, that was a good look for them.
Back to the Drake Relays. The weather that we thought was looking good doesn't look terrible, but it is weakening. Texting with our friend Ed Wilson this morning, Ed said rain is moving in for Thursday, and it looks at this point like Friday morning showers, but will clear off for Friday afternoon. That's a big day, Friday. Well, Thursday really is now too, but Friday afternoon should be okay. And Saturday looks good, but a few days ago, Andy, it looked like we're going to have that dry relays that has not happened much the past 20 years.
Yeah, and then everybody started talking about it, and then it jinxed it, and now the more we talk about this, the more likely it is that Friday's rain is going to hang on through the day and maybe into Saturday morning. Jeez, the cruel irony of Drake Relay's weather is it's often beautiful on Monday and Tuesday of the week, often where you have the Grand Blue Mile. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
it should be
everybody's
this year.
Yeah, we're down there doing live shots and stuff, and people are pulling Ed aside. And they're like, "You sure it's supposed to be bad this weekend? It's perfect right now." He's like, "Oh, it's going to change," and then he's right. But then, by the time Thursday, certainly Friday and Saturday roll around, then the weather is really bad. But there's just nothing you could do. It must be so exasperating. For everybody at Drake, because you can't move the relays. You can't change the weather. You can't do anything about it. But the Drake relays is almost like a rain dance. It's like
I know
it's more likely to rain because
Ed
of
and
Drake relays.
We're doing off the cuff our digital WHO 13 show, and Ed at one point he was going over the history. This was the whole thing was the idea was sparked by how much you have talked about the bad weather at the Drake Relay. So Ed looked into it. We did a show on that, and Ed is just, he's not enjoying it, but he's just pointing out the facts and how bad it's been, and that you can't have an umbrella and all that. So I turn to the camera, and I'm looking right in the camera. I'm like, "Hey, how would you like to sit around a bunch of strangers in the pouring rain, but you can't have an umbrella, but you can wear a poncho, and you can sit there all day as the puddles build up?" And so I go on this just a little humorous rant, and then Doug Sawyer, our promotions director, he turns it into a promo, and that's basically the promo that's airing on 13. And I can feel like Brian Harden and Blake Bolden and Michael Admire just going like, "Oh, come on. This is the promo." But that's kind of what we think about these days is bad weather. Well, and it used to be that, I don't know, maybe when was it that I did that What's Bugging Andy on there? I've done it a number of times, but I actually went into the numbers and, had Ed and Jerry Ann help me. And I don't know, it's probably 5-6 years ago. It's gotten worse. Well, it was bad then. So, but I did look at it. We looked at the numbers and they were really bad because, I'd heard for years, people are always like, "Oh, no, that's just an urban legend. The weather is not always bad. It's just, it's like bad comments and Facebook. It's like you remember the bad ones more than snowstorms at girls' state basketball." Yeah, right. It's something like that. I was like, no, it's not. And I know it's real because every year that we do have bad weather for the Drake Relays, I feel it. I feel bad for my school. I feel bad for the athletes. I feel bad for the alumni that come back. It hurts. I want Drake to look like today, where the flowers are out, the grass is bright green, the weather's really nice. Maybe it's a little cool, but the track athletes like it that way anyway. And it's just, this perfect scene where, the Drake Relays can maybe have a chance of going back to being the biggest track meet that's out there. But the weather doesn't ever cooperate. So I feel it. So I know that I'm not making that up. It really does hit me each year. And I wish that I was wrong about it, but I'm not. You're not. Hawkeye men's basketball. Ben McCollum needed a big and got him. 6'9", Alvaro Folgueras. He is from Robert Morris. He looks like Mark Freund. He is taller than Mark Freund, though. He averaged 14 points and 9 rebounds at Robert Morris. He was the Horizon League most valuable player. 41.
Where is Robert Morris?
It is in New Jersey. Is it New Jersey?
Is he related
Pennsylvania?
to Pennsylvania? Is he related to Philip Morris?
No,
Tobacco guy?
I hope he doesn't smoke.
No, Robert Morris. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Robert Morris. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Don't
because
know.
this guy was running around the highlights with this RMU jersey. I'm like, what is RMU?
Robert
No
Morris
idea.
University. Look at him holding the rim there. This is like, for those who can see the photo, it's like Freund pouting.
It's like it looks like a great big Freund. It really does.
Like a big Freund, and he's pouting. This is Freund finding out that whatever game he's covering is either really cold or in the pouring rain. And he's sitting in the sports office, and he's just getting ready to go out.
Getting ready to go cover Drake relays.
Yeah, and then this is the moment. This is the look on Freund's face as he decides to change professions. He's got this look on his face that Fulgaris has here. This is a big get for McCollum. I mean, they needed a big, and to have one who's 41% from three, and I mean, that opens up some intriguing possibilities with Bennett Sturts, that you have a point guard and a big that can shoot the three like that.
I don't know. Is he really good? Why is he at Robert Morris?
Well, he was the Horizon MVP. He's considered one of the best bigs available in the transfer portal. Okay. Iowa has moved up to.
There's no reason to doubt Ben McCollum. I mean, he brings them up from Division II, and they were great in Division I.
I mean, his other offers, AD, you might have this.
Oh, yeah, he had a bunch of good offers.
Yeah, they're like Kentucky and Providence.
Villanova,
I mean, the people wanted him.
Played well against Alabama in the first round of the tournament. Robert Morris was a 15 seed, but he played well in that game. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. Yeah. Iowa still needs some more size, some kind of brute strength down low. He's not a real, like, big dude. But yeah, this is a really big get, and you can kind of see the team piecing together now. Yeah. Still a couple spots left, but I was happy to see this.
Iowa and Iowa State both had some high school recruits, but I'm with the majority of people that voted in our sound off poll last night. They're like, I just don't really pay attention to this anymore because there's just no way to know they're going to show up. These rosters now are year to year. I mean, TJ Otzelberger in particular has done a really good job of also adding high school players like Momcilovic and keeping them, which is the hard thing to do. But generally, portal is what you're looking for. The players out of the portal now just matter more to the average fan than the high school players because you just don't know what's going to happen in the next year or two.
That has lost a lot of steam, right?
The
whole business of the high school recruit tracker. I mean, I imagine they just those sites, those blogs have just moved on to portal stuff. But yeah, I mean, basically it tells you here is a really young player that you will have for a year. Anything beyond that is unknown, but here's a guy that probably will be coming to your school, and probably will stay for the year.
Andy and AD got a new name for you, Rashad Amos. Rashad Amos is the new poster boy of the transfer portal. 7th college team, not 7th team counting high school, 7th college team. He is a 6-year senior. He's been to South Carolina, Miami of Ohio, Mississippi State, Colorado, Ole Miss, Memphis, and now he's headed to Georgia State.
So he's been to the SEC 3 separate times.
7 teams in 6 years, 6th year senior.
Where is it when this guy's old and they say, "Hey, where'd you go to college?" What's he going to say? Yes.
Let me take you on a tour. We're going to need a lot of money and plane tickets and bus tickets and train tickets. This guy already can create the look of a Hall of Fame in his man cave just with his jerseys.
He's got it all. He's got it all decorated. Yeah, his hoodie shelf in his closet is full.
One criteria being discussed in the college football playoff meetings that are going on right now, according to Heather Dinich of ESPN, one thing that's being considered is automatic qualifiers based on television ratings. This is just so ludicrously stupid and insulting that it probably has a chance. I mean,
Yeah, right.
You just put in the teams.
Kirk Ferentz's favorite saying is, "Whatever TV wants, TV usually gets."
And this is the fact that this would even be discussed, that you could give qualifying to a team that had big ratings during the season. There's nothing about this in the spirit of competition. I'm sure this won't pass. I'm pretty sure. It's so stupid. It's insulting.
Well, it's a really bad look.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you're going to make these decisions using this as a factor, I think we all understand that probably already happens to some degree. But you can't put it in the criteria. You know, you can't write it down. You know, you can't. It can't be traceable. You know, it's got to be one of those kind of unspoken things.
Like when FSU got left out despite being undefeated because the quarterback was injured, and that opened it up for somebody who draws bigger ratings. Yeah, you can't do this. You're right. It's unspoken. It probably happens anyway. But if you base it on this, where's the line? I mean, if Ohio State somehow goes 6-6, or is Ohio State in the playoff anyway because they're a huge draw?
If they intend it to be like a fourth degree tiebreaker, I get it.
And it probably happens anyway, right?
Probably happens anyway, and you probably don't need to write it down. But I would understand that, right? Where it's like, okay, pick them, you know, flip a coin. Well, all right, which one will get better TV ratings? Okay, then I understand it. TV ratings is like written down in the criteria up there at the top.
And it's mostly what's paying for all this.
Oh, people are going to be, we understand that. But, you know, what people are really tuning in for is football, right? They're tuning in for the football. They're tuning in for the basketball and these two big, college sports. I mean, that is what people are tuning in for. We understand the brands are another really big factor, but they are tuning in for the actual sport that they like so much that they basically are going to watch it in any capacity, especially football. But to actually write it down is just going to make people complain and suspect and accuse and blame. And, it's really going to, it's just going to invite a bigger mess than you've already got.
WrestleMania took place last night. And I
heard Freund was just tweeting his fingers off.
He was. CW podcast last week was Chris Williams and Mark Freund.
Okay, we get them their own island?
And John Cena apparently won WrestleMania despite turning heel. I say this. We've spoken before about how if you meet Mark Freund, hang around Mark Freund, spend any time with Mark Freund, you would never guess that he used vacation days during his years at 13 to go to WrestleManias and to see wrestling events. It means that much to him. Chris Williams also, although he's harder to figure out if he's serious or if he's winking as he talks about it. But like Mark, and I do want to understand this better. Maybe AD, you can help me here. I don't know. Like Mark was talking strategy last night and how he thought it might turn out. And then there was criticism nationwide about the way the belt was taken and that Travis Scott was involved, the rapper. This is all scripted. I mean, and Mark knows this, Chris knows this. They're following a script. It's like going to see a play. So I don't understand like being emotionally invested on social media and trying to predict what's going to happen or being upset the direction it went. I don't get it. Somebody help me.
I don't get it for wrestling. It's not my thing. I will say I spent 10 weeks this spring watching White Lotus season 3 on HBO, and then listening to podcasts after each episode and talking with my wife or on social media about, hey, what do you think's going to happen? Who's going to die? What's going to happen to this couple? So I'd be kind of hypocritical, I think, if I made fun of these guys for doing essentially the same thing with a fake sporting event.
I never really get that comparison because wrestling fans use that all the time.
But they're both scripted dramas, is what AD is saying.
Well, yeah, but like wrestling, the acting is ridiculous. It is not trying to make
acting.
you what?
It's bad acting.
Oh, it's terrible acting, and it's like intentionally terrible. It's
gotten
they'll
better.
tell you that's what's that's the fun part of it. Look, I mean, when I was a kid, I couldn't get enough of professional wrestling, and I get it. I mean, my brother Toby, I mean, he doesn't like professional wrestling, but he likes everything else that he liked as a kid. He still likes it just as much, right? I mean, Kool-Aid, Fruity Pebbles, Pop-Tarts, video games, cartoons. Yeah, I mean, he's an elementary school teacher. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, he just really didn't have to change his thing at all. But I don't know. I mean, they've got their thing. They like it.
That's
Doesn't
important
like
to point out. I don't care if it makes them happy. That's fine. It's like Colorado retiring those jerseys. It's nonsensical to me to do it this soon, but it doesn't impact my life at all.
The part that gets me though is when you're watching WWE and you look into the crowd and you see every now and then you'll really catch a good look at a person's face, and you can read that face, and that person absolutely believes that this is 100% real. You can tell just by looking at their face. You're like, that person is 100% invested in that.
I remind you, at my first job at WVGA Channel 44 in Valdosta, we had weekday newscasts, and on the weekends, they rolled the news set out of the studio, which had a tin roof, and they moved the wrestling ring into the studio, put up these folding chairs all around. And Andy remembers this from his days in Missouri. This was the days of real regional wrestling. And they would go to different locations, and every Saturday there was live wrestling in our studio, and the crowd would show up, and it's the crowd you would expect to show up.
Yep.
And they did not believe that this was before there was any admission in court that it was scripted. And, yes, it takes athleticism, and yes, injuries happen, and yes, all of that we understand, but it is all practiced and scripted and laid out. But these people in these folding chairs in Valdosta, Georgia, did not think any of it was fake or scripted.
Yeah. And, I grew up watching wrestling at the Chase, the documentary series on Netflix, Mr. McMahon, which is really disturbing. Does have some interesting wrestling history.
It's compelling too. It's well done.
Yeah, it is. And they talk about the regional wrestling associations that McMahon basically united and pulled together, and some of them bought out, pushed out,
created a juggernaut.
But there was one of the big hubs was in St. Louis, and they would do that on the weekend down at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel, and that's where Andre the Giant got his start. Many of these guys got their start. Millionaire Ted DiBiase, and
is that where the Cursed family? They just had the movie with Zac Efron.
The Von Erichs were all there. Yeah, the Von Erichs were there. Harley Race was like my idol when I was a kid. He was the champion, and he came into the WHO studio. Remember that? When he came in, and he smelled like he had smoked every cigarette.
Yep,
like all of them.
He smelled like tar.
Yeah. But I still was like, oh my God, there's Harley Race.
Yeah, Harley Race. He was nice.
But yeah, I mean, and people would say, my dad would watch, he'd be like, it's totally fake. And I would watch it as a kid, and I didn't care. I didn't care. Yeah. So I understand these people liking this. It's totally fake. People tell them it's totally fake. They probably know that it's totally fake, but they don't care. It's entertainment. And more power to them.
And now here's Liam Neeson charming little kids with a tale of the Easter Bunny.
Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail. Hippity hoppity. Easter is on its way.
This time, why don't we keep it light? Remember, It's for children, and he's a bunny.
Do you understand what's happening here? He's hopping down the bunny trail, hippity hoppity. He's coming. He's an unstoppable force. Measured. Inevitable. Eggs aren't the only thing that'll be dying tonight.
I'm sorry, is that the bunny saying that?
If you have to ask, you don't understand the bunny's mindset.
I think I do. He's a bunny bringing candy to children.
Yes, he's a bunny. But a bunny is laying eggs. He's a freak of nature, a confused, grotesque monster. There's no telling what he's capable of. Why do you think he's holding up carrot, Bill?
Because it's what he likes to eat?
No. By employing the bunny's certain set of skills, he can gnaw it down into a shiv. Slip it between people's ribs around them.
Well, that's good. Thanks for coming in. We'll give you a call.
Oh, well, call soon. I need the job, and I'm running out of relatives to be taken.
Confluence is the official beer of the Murph and Andy show. It's a Monday, so we won't be cracking open one today. Got another job to get to, but Confluence is where good things come together. Time now to get some more.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
Patio, you'll find it at 6222 Grand Avenue on the edge of Des Moines and West Des Moines. And you just have to try it out. And the weather is really getting into consistent patio season, some ups and downs here, but today would be a really nice day over there, no doubt. Starting this morning, gigantic construction project in maybe the busiest part of the metro, I-35-80 at Hickman. That whole interchange is being totally redone. They're going to make it like the swerving woven interchange up in Ankeny or out at Prairie Trail. Grand Prairie Parkway in Waukee. Going to make it like that. That'll handle more traffic. They close the southbound on-ramps from Hickman onto the interstate and from University onto the interstate. They will remain closed until August. DOT says they're going to be working as fast as they possibly can. They know it's a big inconvenience, but we'll recommend that you try to avoid that area. And man, if you live in the western part of Clive or the eastern part of Waukee, man, you are going to be inconvenienced for a while. From the Des Moines Register, a story that we kind of keep touching on as it kind of pops up with updates here and there. Former Come and Go owner Kyle Krause's Parma Calcio 1913 soccer team lost $72 million last year, accumulating so far $393 million in losses.
True. Man, nearly $400 million in losses.
Wow. And of course, we're interested in this locally because the Iowa Soccer Development Foundation, led by Krause, is seeking to add additional funding for the downtown Des Moines Soccer Stadium project. And it seems like the more he's losing, the less likely it's going to be that he'll be able to uphold his end of that development, which is a sizable end. Now, Parma Calcio's financial struggles are partly due to the poor performance they've had and their demotion to a lower league. We know how that relegation works there. The Des Moines Stadium project is about $21 million shy of its $95 million budget. I don't know what to be rooting for here. I would like for there to be a development there.
There needs to be. I mean, soccer is growing, and it's growing rapidly, and all the data supports that. Everything from fandom to gear sales to just high schools and youth leagues here in Iowa have grown so much the past 20 years. We've gone from one class of boys and girls to now, 3-4 classes? It is growing. It would be nice to have this stadium, but I completely understand somebody feeling like if you have enough money to lose nearly $400 million in Italy, we don't want to finance the soccer stadium in Des Moines. And this feels like an uphill battle at this point.
Well, now the officials with the City of Des Moines, Greater Des Moines Partnership, the other entities that have pledged money toward Polk County, pledged money toward this development will tell you it's not just a soccer stadium. It's a big development around it as well with housing and retail and green space, things to do for people.
The smart way to do it now.
Yeah, just a general attraction for the area, and that southwestern corner of Des Moines really does need something like that. And it's quite a bit of ground. So a stadium of some sort would take up a bunch of that ground. And you could use the stadium for a lot of other things other than soccer. So I do get that. My fear is, though, that the demand for a big soccer stadium, and this is a pretty big one, I don't feel like the demand is there for a big minor league soccer stadium.
No, it would come with a team. It has a team attached to it in the level, one level below MLS.
Yes. Is there demand for that team though? Here, I don't feel. I've just not ever heard one person say, "Oh man, I really wish that we could get a better minor league soccer team here." Bigger one, stadium for them.
It's tough because Des Moines is called, and it's not meant to be an insult, America's #1 minor league city. But we see the Iowa Cubs are really successful, but it's really well run, but it's mostly being outside in this great environment, and it's a great baseball park and the view and all that. The Iowa Wolves and the Iowa Wild are really well run, and they're attached to major league teams in both of those leagues, but they struggle sometimes to fill it.
Small crowds.
It is difficult to get a rooting interest. Like even people who go to the Iowa Cubs games, not all of them, but most of them don't even know the outcome of the game or care that much. They're there with their kids or they're there with their buddies, and many even leave before the end of the ninth inning. Yes, you have some hardcore fans that care where the I Cubs are in the standings, but that's not most of the fans.
But a lot of them are Cubs fans, Chicago Cubs fans, so they
care
have
about
that
the big
rooting
Cubs for sure.
interest there. They care, so there's some built-ins there.
It's a difficult thing.
What I would not want to see is a stadium there, though, that was mostly empty for a lot of these games, and I don't want to hear later on people saying, "Why did we build this giant stadium? Why did we use any public money for this? Why didn't we put something else in here?" And then talking, 20 years down the road, okay, what can we turn this stadium into that might be a better use of the space? I just don't. I feel like the demand should be there, and then you should go forward. I mean, I understand Kyle Krause loves soccer. And that's why he wants a soccer stadium there. Not because he's looking around saying everybody wants a soccer stadium. He's saying, I like soccer and I want to put my money, which is his money, toward a soccer stadium. I truly hope this works out. This is a great, big, really important area for the city of Des Moines, and it's just sitting there waiting for something to happen.
He's sincere, but I do think, and this is good reporting by the Des Moines Register, I think it's probably not fair because they're two different things, but when you're losing this much money, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars on an Italian soccer club, even though you're willing and want to put in millions for this Des Moines soccer facility and beyond, I think people have trouble not thinking about, well, if there's that much money out there that you can lose, why can't you just fund the whole thing? And I don't think that's fair to Kyle Krause, but I think that's the perception with many people.
Yeah, well, and then just the thought that, since he has been losing all this money, I mean, how much more does he really have to throw at something that he doesn't know is going to return his investment? This day in 1980, just one of the crazy stories in the history of sports, Rosie Ruiz, age 26, finishes first in the women's division of the Boston Marathon with a time of 2:31:56. She was rewarded with a medal, a laurel wreath, and a silver bowl. However, 8 days later, she is stripped of her victory after race officials learned she had jumped into the race about a mile before the finish line. You remember this, Murph.
I do. She improved her time 25 minutes over her previous fastest time.
At the New York City Marathon. Yeah. So the Cuban-born Ruiz, an administrative assistant from New York City, qualified for the Boston Marathon by submitting her time for running the 1979 New York City Marathon. Although Ruiz never explained why she cheated, it's been suggested her boss was so impressed she qualified for the prestigious Boston race that he offered to pay her way. It's believed that Ruiz intended to jump into the middle of the pack of runners, but miscalculated when she joined the marathon 1 mile from the end, not realizing she was ahead of the other 448 female contestants.
It's an incredible story. And one of the ways they figured out that they started to investigate whether she cheated, because this is before they had trackers and cameras everywhere. But in her post-race interviews, she didn't really understand what splits were. And some of the questions the reporters were asking her, any marathon runner capable of that time would certainly know. And she was just puzzled by the questions. Do you know if she's still alive?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to know why she did it. To get a definitive
I believe her marathoning
answer.
career died that day in 1980. But there were still photographs taken of the pack running by earlier in the race, and she's not in any of them.
It's wild. It's so wild because this is such a big day in Boston.
Yeah. Oh, it's a huge race. It brings people from all over the world. And it was a beautiful day. I mean, you see all the pictures and everything, and she just wins this, and everybody's like, "Wow, that was an incredible time!" And then the whole thing falls apart.
Marathon day today, Andy. By the way, and I hope somewhere along that marathon is Boston Bobby. Remember when we interviewed him when he was at the marathon? He had pulled a bunch of wire or something. Was it wire, AD? What? How did he get the money? And he had like a rolling cooler or something?
Yes, he had pulled wire.
Pulling wire.
He was feeling very patriotic for Boston.
And drunk. He was drunk, but he was entertaining. Oh, okay, yeah.
Boston. Marathon day today.
Yeah, Patriots Day.
Yeah. The Marlins AA affiliate, the
Fish
Wahoos.
Oh,
I don't remember what city it is. They've put their stadium on Airbnb for about $5,000 a night. It is on the coast. It's on the water. I can tell you that. I'm not sure exactly where it is.
That'd be a pretty fun place to rent and throw a party for an entire business. That'd be cool.
So the advertisement reads, "Want to hit with your friends in our batting cage? Be our guest," says the listing. "Want to play catch on the field at 11:30 at night? Be our guest. Want to take batting practice while having a couple of cold ones with the boys? Be our guest. Want to take down your siblings in ping pong and video games in the clubhouse? Be our guest. Want to enjoy breakfast at home plate? You can do that too. You can sleep in the bunk beds." It does. I mean, if you have a big group together, $5,000 for the run of the whole place. I wonder what the greenskeeper thinks of this. Chris Schlosser here at the iCubs is he's one of the best greenskeepers in America. Very fastidious, persnickety about his field at Principal Park. There no way Chris would go for this.
No way.
No. You'd have to put him in a straitjacket.
Yeah, to go to it though as someone invited like that. This sounds like a blast. Like if you had a bachelor party there or something, that would be so much fun.
I agree. I think it looks cool. Let's finish with this. Today's stupid criminal is 58-year-old Carl Domino of Mississippi. He made things extremely easy for the police when they pulled him over last week. After he was stopped for a traffic violation, the officer on the scene reported catching a hearty whiff off the big old joint that he was ripping in the car as he rolled the window down. But not only did Domino just admit to the weed, he actually handed the joint to the officer out the window. Well, the officer thought, that's technically probable cause, so once you step out, we're going to search the whole vehicle. Well, they found a treasure trove, as you can see here, 120 ecstasy pills, over 3 pounds of Purex, or MDMA, around 5 pounds of shrooms, 12 vials of pure LSD, and close to a half a pound of weed, and a couple of digital scales, which leads you to believe that the 5'3" Carl Domino?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Going to be distributing some of that stash in his car. Yeah, jeez.
He's got a good look on his face,
Don't get high on your own supply. At least not while you're driving.
Look at that smirk.
Get home. He's like, oh, man.
Man, God.
I lost all of that stuff. And you know he probably hadn't finished paying it off either.
No.
All right, that's your more, everybody.
All right, nicely done, Andy. It is time for Throwdowns on a Monday.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Throwdowns powered by Heartland Tire and Auto, treating you like family in Ankeny, Waukee, Knoxville, Boone, and Creston, an authorized dealer of both Bridgestone and Firestone tires. Murph, the NBA playoffs began over the weekend. When, if ever, will you fully engage with the NBA playoffs?
It's interesting because for me, it's not any particular round, it's matchups. And when there's a matchup that intrigues me, I watch. Like Lakers, Timberwolves, I'm in on this. I'm going to watch that. So I do think it gets more interesting in the next round when you start to have, when you don't have 51-point games, things like that. It starts to tighten up a little bit. But there are still matchups even at this round that I pay attention to, and some that I just don't care.
Yeah, give me one round in, and then give me some drama, right? Give me a little bad blood between fans and players, that kind of stuff where you're talking about the games outside of the games. That's when I start to get interested.
Andy, the NFL draft is this week. Travis Hunter will be among the first players taken. If you were drafting Hunter, would you expect him to play both ways in the NFL like he did at Colorado?
Well, he is demanded to play both ways. Says he's not going to a team that's not going to let him play both
Going
ways.
to quit, he says,
Yeah.
which won't happen.
Yeah. Absolutely, I would. He is. I think it's what really makes him interesting. Is if the Browns take him, and they should and probably will, definitely starts at receiver. But then in special nickel packages and that you bring him in as a DB, and the Browns have some other good ones. So that makes it real interesting. I don't think I start him on both sides of the ball. And maybe he would understand that, but I don't know. I mean, I think when early on, I think you play him as much as you responsibly can, and then later on, he'll probably want to specialize.
It's a 17-game regular season, and it's going to be 18 before long. I think he's going to be a full-time starting defensive back, and I think he'll be used in special situations as a receiver, and I think he'll sign off on that. He's not going to play every down both ways for very long. The risk to injury and wear and tear on the body, all of that with that investment, I think a smart team will find a way to use him on both sides of the ball, but it's not going to be every down.
Murph, your son Cade asked this on Overthinking last week. If your pet could talk, what would its biggest complaint about you be?
Oh, well, it'd depend on the dog. We have the two dogs we have. For Teeny, the little Chihuahua, it would be, why do you always talk to me in that stupid voice? Like, you have a normal voice. I hear you talking to other people in a normal voice. And then when you talk to me, it sounds so stupid. Like, yeah, so that would be the complaint, because I hear myself and it is absolutely idiotic. And then for Tina, our old girl, she's 16. It would be, is there any way you can change your schedule to stop waking me up after 11 p.m.? Because she sleeps about 18 to 20 hours a day now. And anytime she's disturbed, she has to open her eyes, and she just gives me kind of stink eye.
This almost makes me feel bad. Well, they would both be asking for more food. Bernard and Lewis would be asking for more food, which... how bad would that make you feel? I mean, you'd feel like the guy sitting, Mr. Bumble, sitting up at the table in front of the orphans on Oliver Twist. Do
you think the dog would stop? I've wondered this, Andy. Like, Tina she's crazed by food. Like, her number one pursuit, if she's awake, is finding food on the floor, food anywhere, begging for food. And we've wondered sometimes, if we just put it all out there and was like, eat as much as you want, if she would just eat until she was sick or keeled over, I mean, would she ever stop?
Both of my dogs would eat until they were sick. There's no doubt in my mind. And it's so hard because you can't reason with them and tell them, look, at this for your own good, that you only get this much. You can't get fat. It's so bad on your joints and bad for your back. It's not fair. I mean, I can get as fat as I want, right? You know, the people can, and it's bad for us too. But they would eat until they popped, and then they would also, and this is also going to make me feel bad. They would both ask to go to the dog park, to the West Des Moines dog park, like all the time. They always want to go there. They never want to leave. They just want to eat and go play. And they both would say that you don't feed me enough and you don't play with me enough. How bad would that feel? Thank God we can't talk.
Yeah, God. Let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon.
That's throwdowns.
Grimaldi's fan photos can be sent to Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com, presented by Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizzeria in West Des Moines and the district at Prairie Trail in Ankeny.
There's Willie McGee.
Yeah.
Maybe
Some of the pictures that have come in over the last couple
using
of days.
that Chris Williams mirror selfie function.
Yes.
Got to reverse the
Cardinals,
right?
Flip that around there. Yeah.
Flip
like
get
the
that
jersey,
flip.
though, like the Willie McGee.
It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Square.
Yeah, it's powered by Game Day Men's Health. I go to the one in Ankeny and Prairie Trail. You can check them out in University in West Des Moines, or if you're on the eastern side of the state, it would be North Liberty is where you want to go get those tee shots and just general men's health. Guys, farts are funny at any age. I think maybe nowhere more than this show over the last 2 decades have we tried to prove that.
We are the fart leader.
It was proven again over the weekend when in the Giants locker room when Logan Webb was talking with the media.
Bumgarner and Juan Marshall for at least 4 outings with I'm sorry. At least 4 outings with 10 strikeouts and no walks. What does it mean to you to be in that list with those guys?
I'm sorry guys. Farts are always funny. I'm not gonna lie.
He's so right.
It's anytime you're in a list.
They're like asking him this serious question. Hey,
it's one of his teammates.
Yeah.
Oh, that's intentional.
Professional locker rooms can be vile places.
That's a contract hit right there.
It was.
He followed it up with another one. Yeah, that was with intent. That was like an inside pitch. Quickie poll results are presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
He never did regain his composure.
No.
That interview was over at that
He couldn't
point.
stop thinking about it.
And maybe they started it up again, and then the smell came in, and now it was over. It was done.
That's it.
These choices, what are you looking forward to most this week? 57% going with the NFL draft. 20% say it's the Drake Relays. 14% go with the NBA or NHL playoffs, or both. And then 9% in on the Major League Baseball season.
Good showing for the Drake Relays there, I feel like. Beat the playoffs and beat baseball. So let's hope the weather holds for
it's the local one, right? I mean, we do have a lot of kids that'll be participating in that. And there may be a few Drake alums in there that are just looking forward to Peggy's.
Yeah, like you usually do. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy here on a Monday. We appreciate you being with us. We appreciate you supporting local media on Iowa Everywhere. Find all your answers to what we're about at iowaeverywhere.com. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate you doing that. Invite your friends to the party if you feel like it. Everybody's welcome. We're back Wednesday, and we hope you are too.